Welcome to the Wed Pro podcast, the podcast for Wed Pros no matter their stage.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Wed Pro podcast. I hope you are doing well. This feels like one of those kind of really strange weeks for me because there seems to be loads of live things happening at the same time. It's my daughter's last week at primary school, which she's starting to get a little bit emotional about and genuinely kind of get my head around. I don't know where these last years have gone. She actually started reception and then we kind of went into lockdown, so a little bit of a weird time really. But yeah, we are here buying secondary school uniform, getting ready for a whole new chapter. And at the same time, we're right in the middle of wedding season as well. The school holidays are literally around the corner. We've somehow gone from one heat wave to another, and because apparently I don't know how to relax and rest or leave myself with enough to do, I've also started planning my 40th birthday next year, which is looking exciting. But if you've got some ideas, please let me know, because I do keep changing my mind every other day. It's funny though, because amongst all of that, there's kind of one conversation that I found myself having over and over with wedding pros that I've been speaking to recently, and that is around AI. Honestly, I don't think there's been a single day where I haven't had a message or an email or somebody's asked me something on the call about how I'm using AI or what's the best AI they should use. Is Claude better? Or people telling me that they've tried AI and it didn't really work for them. And every time I hear that, I find myself pretty much giving the same answer. I don't think AI is the problem. I think we're asking it to do the wrong job. Now, before we dive into this is not going to be one of those episodes where I tell you that AI is ruining the wedding industry or that you should be going back to doing everything manually or anything like that. That is absolutely not where this is going. Right? I love AI. I use it every single day. In fact, if I looked at my subscriptions now, I probably spend more money every single month on AI than I ever imagined a couple of years ago. You know, I use ChatGPT, I use Claude, I use Notebook LM, vibe coding. There is a lot of tools I'm using, and I test new tools all the time because I'm fascinated by where this kind of technology is going. So this podcast absolutely is not about me saying do not use AI. It's actually the opposite. I think if you are running a wedding business today, learning how to use AI is becoming as important as it was to learn social media 10 years ago. But here's where I think kind of things have gone a little bit wrong and the conversation has gone wrong. People seem to be comparing tools. Is ChatGPT better than Claude? Should I use Gemini? What's the best one? And personally, I don't think that is the big question anymore. I don't think that's the interesting question anymore. The question should be, what should AI actually be doing in our businesses? Because I genuinely believe that there is a huge difference between using AI and using AI well. And I also think there is a huge misconception that AI is somehow going to replace you or your business or wedding suppliers. Every few weeks, there seems to be a headline around this, and it creates this feeling that somehow we're all going to become irrelevant. And I could not disagree more. AI is not going to replace wedding suppliers. I think wedding suppliers who understand AI are going to replace wedding suppliers who ignore it. And they're two completely different statements. And the reason why is really actually quite simple. AI is not making people more talented, it's making them more efficient. So if we have a look at two photographers, and I give you this example, two photographers, both equally talented, both produce beautiful work, both are attentive and really brilliant with their couples. One spends 4 hours every wedding kind of going through all of their images and culling the images manually, writes every single blog from scratch, replies to every inquiry at the end of the day when they finally get home, spends an hour putting together a caption on Instagram, and subsequently constantly feels like they're chasing their tail. The other photographer still has the same workload, takes the exactly same photographs. They're still just as creative. They're still brilliant with people. But AI has helped them sort their images. They've helped them create that first draft of that blog. It's suggested some social media ideas. It's helped them organize their marketing, and it's supported them with inquiry replies. Let's look at it this way. Who has got more time? Who is less stressed? Who's likely to market consistently? Who's then likely to get more inquiries because they are able to show up consistently? Who's more likely to follow up with those inquiries? Who's more likely to be able to have dinner with their family instead of sitting behind a laptop until midnight? And there lies the difference, right? It's not in talent, it's in capacity. And I think that's where a lot of people have completely misunderstood what AI is supposed to be doing. Because I don't want AI replacing the human parts of my business. I don't want AI deciding how I coach people. I don't want it pretending that it's me. I don't want it removing my personality. And I actually think that human side and that personality side is going to become more valuable than ever. But I want AI to deal with kind of all of the repetitive tasks that stop me doing the work only I can do. And when I started digging into some of the research around how couples are actually using AI, some things really jumped out at me. More and more couples are using ChatGPT and other AI tools to help them plan their weddings. They're asking for budgeting advice, comparing venues, getting help writing emails to suppliers, and help building checklists. But one thing really stood out, and that is that researchers found that when couples were asking about using AI to write their wedding vows, the overwhelming feeling was no, they didn't want that. What it showed was that they were happy for AI to organize things for them. They were happy for it to help and support them with their planning. They were happy for the help it gave them to save time. But when it came to standing in front of the person that they loved, they wanted those words to come from them, not a machine. And this kind of proves something that I've believed for a long time. You know, people don't remember weddings because they ran perfectly. They remember how people made them feel. The celebrant who made everybody laugh, the photographer who somehow captured moments that you managed to miss, or the florist who understood the vision that the couple had carried around in their head but had really struggled to communicate, the planner who fixed the problems before anybody really realized that they existed. These are all really human moments, and AI doesn't replace these, and they never will. And if anything, I think AI actually makes them more valuable. And that's why I think the industry is asking the wrong question. Instead of it asking, is it going to replace my business or is it going to replace wedding suppliers? I think we should just be asking, what could AI take off my plate so I can become an even better wedding supplier? Because that's where the opportunity is, right? And that's also where I think ChatGPT and Claude, as brilliant as they are, start to show their limitations. Now, before I go any further, I do want to make something really clear, because I think sometimes these conversations become a little bit black and white. This isn't me telling you that ChatGPT isn't any good. It's incredible. I use it every day. Claude is incredible. The pace that these tools are moving and improving is mind-blowing. And we're only scratching the surface of what they're going to be capable of over the next few years. But here's the thing. Just because a tool is incredibly clever does not automatically mean it understands your business. And this is where wedding suppliers are getting this so wrong. You might pop something into ChatGPT, you might ask it to write you an inquiry reply, and it looks better than what you would write yourself. And then you send that off and you think that it's going to work for you because it sounds better than anything you could have put together yourself, or it uses a clever word here, or it follows some kind of structure. But if that is not following strategy, it's probably never going to convert, and it just slows you down. It gives you this false kind of hope that you're moving in your business where actually you're not. Or maybe you ask it to put together a social media plan for you or a social media caption, and it writes something that is better than probably you were going to put together yourself. And yes, it might sound a bit generic and it might sound a little bit AI, and you probably need to tweak it, but you do those things, you put it out there, but actually then you give it a few weeks, you give it a few months, and your socials haven't improved and you're not getting inquiries. And that's because it's not following any strategy. It's not posting to encourage people to reach out and inquire with you. It's just posting to fill a void and to fill a feed. And my question really is, when I sit and talk to wedding suppliers about why this happens, is what did you tell it to produce? Because here's something that AI cannot do, right? It can't read your mind. If you open ChatGPT or Claude, ask it to write you an Instagram caption, it will absolutely write you one. Or to write a blog, it'll write you one. If you ask them to draft you an email, it'll do it in seconds. But neither of them know the nuances inside of the industry. Or maybe that you've just increased your prices, or that your ideal client has changed over the last 6 months, or even who your ideal client is. They don't know what usually stops a couple booking you or where they fall off in your inquiry journey. Neither of them knows that the inquiries you've had recently have all been asking the same sorts of questions, and they don't know the personality behind your business unless you teach it. And this isn't a flaw, this is just exactly how they work. I look at AI as kind of assistants in my business. They're not business partners, they are low-level assistants. And I think that is really where the important distinction is here, because one of the biggest mistakes I see people making is asking AI to make business decisions for them. What should I charge? Should I discount? Should I remove this package? Where should my positioning be? And will AI give you an answer? Absolutely. But does it understand your particular profit margin? Does it understand how much you need to earn this year? Does it understand your local market? Does it know what your competitors are really charging? Does it know that your confidence has taken a knock recently because you've had a few quieter months than usual? And the answer is no, it doesn't. Because strategy comes from context, right? And that comes from experience. And that's something we won't ever replace. I've spent, almost 10 years now coaching wedding businesses. And one thing I've learned is that two photographers can ask exactly the same question and need completely different answers. One might need to put their prices up. The other might need to leave them exactly where they are, but improve the way that they're communicating the value. AI doesn't naturally know which one you are, right? And that's where experience comes in. And there's another trap that I think we're about to see over the next few months and years. And I think we're already starting to see it. Everybody is beginning to sound the same. Have you noticed that? You are reading a caption and you think, I've read this before, or you read a blog, it sounds familiar. Another website is the same kind of sort of wording. And because if everybody asks AI the same sorts of questions, what happens is you all get variations of the same answer. And before anybody panics, that's not because AI is bad. It's just because people are giving it very average instructions, right? If your prompt is write me an Instagram caption about wedding photography, how on earth is AI meant to know what makes you different, right? It doesn't. So it writes what most wedding photographers would say: creating timeless memories, natural moments, beautiful storytelling, blah, 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 blah. We have all seen it, right? But here's my question. If your marketing sounds like everybody else, why would couples choose you? Why would anybody remember you? And that's why I keep saying that AI shouldn't be doing the thinking. It should be doing the typing, right? Think of it like an assistant in your business, not the person making the business decisions. The business decisions and the thinking should be you. The thinking still has to come from you. The positioning still needs to come from you. That personality needs to come from you. The experience still has to be you. And that's the stuff that nobody else can copy, right? That's actually why I'm so passionate about helping businesses understand strategy before they just go and prompt the hell out of the AI tool of the moment right now. Because honestly, a brilliant prompt with poor strategy still produces piss poor marketing, right? Whereas a brilliant strategy with the help of AI can produce exceptional marketing in a fraction of the time. And that is a huge, huge difference. Okay, the other thing that's really got me thinking recently is watching how different sectors of the wedding industry are using AI. Photographers aren't suddenly using it because they don't want to edit anymore. They're using it because they'd rather spend an evening with their family than sit there culling kind of 400 images manually. Planners are using it to help them build timelines quicker and scan contracts because they'd rather spend more time looking after their couples than searching through kind of 12 pages of legal jargon trying to find the clause that they missed, right? Venues are using AI to respond to couples overnight because couples don't stop planning their wedding at 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon when everyone's clocked off. And actually, research now suggests that the majority of inquiries are actually coming in outside of normal business hours. And think about your own behavior for a second. When do you sit down and research something? Usually it's after dinner, usually once the kids are in bed, right? Or when work is finished, when you've got that chance to think and make decisions and digest things, right? And that is exactly what your couples are doing too. Now, here's the thing. I'm not suggesting that you be glued to your phones 24 hours a day. Quite the opposite. That is a terrible way to run a business. But I do think you need to start asking yourself a better question. How can my business still be serving people brilliantly, even when I am not working? Because that's not replacing you. That's building a business that works alongside you instead of depending on you. And I genuinely believe that this is one of the biggest opportunities that AI gives wedding businesses. It's not there to make you any less human, but it's there to help you create space for the human part of your business and the stuff that couples are actually going to remember. Okay, so if you've listened to this and you're thinking, okay, Katie, I understand where things might be going a little bit wrong, where things are starting to look a little bit generic, where do I actually start? And I think it begins with changing the way you look at AI altogether. Stop thinking it as something that is there to replace you or there to replace your strategic thinking. Start thinking about it as another member of your team, because that's how I look at it, right? Every single morning, there are things in my business that I could absolutely do myself. I could write every single social media post. I could draft every email. I could sit there and research SEO for hours. I could spend ages planning content. But just because I can do those things does not mean it is the best use of my time. You can be a busy fool, right? The question I now ask myself, is this something only I can do? And if the answer is yes, I do it. And if the answer is no, I kind of look at whether there is any technology or any AI out there that can help. Because here's the thing, right? Nobody ever really sits and thinks, I really hope my accountant does all their VAT manually, or I hope my bank still does everything on pen and paper. Technology has always helped businesses to evolve, right? And AI is just that next step. The difference is this time it's helping us with thinking and communication rather than just calculating and spreadsheets. And this is what I've noticed is making people feel slightly uncomfortable because we've misunderstood where the value sits in AI or in you, right? Your value has not been in writing content, writing captions, typing, writing contracts. Your value is in your experience and your creativity, your ability to build trust, that thing about you that makes somebody feel excited, feels reassured, and confident enough to hand over thousands of pounds of their hard-earned cash on that thing that you do. And AI can't do that and never will be able to do that. You can. One thing I tell my clients inside by Pro CEO is that the strategy has to come before the tactics, right? Always. Because I can give two businesses exactly the same marketing strategy and they will get completely different results depending on how well they understand their customer. That's why I don't think AI is a shortcut, right? It's an accelerator. So if your strategy is brilliant, then AI helps you move faster. But if your strategy is poor and if you blindly trust that it's going to give you the best results every single time and you don't train it and build it and prompt it correctly and pop strategy in and you don't understand any of that, then AI just helps you make mistakes more quickly and it gives you this false sense of hope that you're moving forward as well. And this is the thing that I see all of the time and one of the biggest misconceptions I see. People think that AI will just magically fix their business and it won't. If your inquiry journey isn't converting, AI is not going to come in and magically make people book. If your pricing is wrong, AI isn't going to be able to help couples see your value. If your positioning isn't clear, AI isn't going to invent it for you. These things have to come from you understanding your business. And this is actually why I built WordPro Studio. Not because ChatGPT isn't good enough. I still use it. I genuinely think ChatGPT is one of the best pieces of technology ever created. Claude is brilliant as well. I use both. The problem isn't the AI. The problem was watching kind of wedding businesses spend hours trying to work out what to do with it, or copying prompts from YouTube, or buying prompt packs that weren't written for the wedding industry, or getting completely different answers every single time because they're starting from scratch and they don't understand the strategy behind their business. And I remember sitting there and thinking, surely there has to be an easier way than this, because wedding suppliers don't need to become prompt engineers. And I thought about this and I thought about creating prompt packs and I thought about creating prompt library for the wedding industry, because the way my clients will know that the way that I prompt my AI is like I'm writing a book, and that is the truth. My prompts are like chapters long, and I genuinely thought about producing something like that, but I just don't think that wedding suppliers need to become prompt engineers. You have got enough to think about already, right? So that got me onto thinking about building Studio. And I built this differently. Instead of expecting you to become an expert in AI, I've spent the time and the years building all of the strategy behind it. Every inquiry reply, every follow-up, every nurture sequence, every content piece, every content idea, every sales tool inside have all been built around years of seeing what actually works inside the wedding industry. And the one thing I'm really proud of is that I've not tied it to one AI model. And people often ask me, so is Studio powered by ChatGPT? And the answer is sometimes. Sometimes it's Claude, sometimes it's another model entirely, because the truth is different AI models are good at different things, right? And I don't think wedding suppliers should have to keep up with all of that. Every few months, there's another update, there's another launch, another company claiming to have the best AI in the world, right? And I don't have the time to keep learning a new platform every 6 weeks. So that's become our job. We test it, we compare it, we improve Studio. You carry on running your business. Because I genuinely think that's how technology should work. It should make your life simpler, not give you another thing to learn. And I just want to leave you with a word of caution. Just because AI can create something doesn't mean it always should. You know, I mentioned earlier about couples not wanting to write their wedding vows, and I completely understand that because some things, you know, deserve to stay human. I've also seen florists talking about something called AI washing, using AI generated flowers that don't actually exist to market their business. And personally, I think that is a dangerous road to go down. Not because AI is dangerous, because trust is. Our businesses are built on trust. And if somebody books you because they've fallen in love with something you've shown them, it needs to be actually something that you can deliver. AI should help you communicate your work. It shouldn't fake it. And that is an important distinction because technology should never replace authenticity. It should support it. So I will finish with this. People keep asking me whether AI is going to replace wedding suppliers. And my answer is still the same. No, I don't think it ever will. But I absolutely believe that wedding suppliers who learn how to use AI will overtake the ones who refuse to. Not because they will be better photographers or florists or celebrants or planners, but because while one supplier is still spending 3 hours writing a blog, another has already published it, replied to 3 inquiries, followed up to 2 ghosted leads, and gone out for dinner with their family. While one supplier is sitting there staring at a blank screen, wondering what to post this week, another one has already posted consistently for the last 3 months and stayed front of mind and visible to their audience. And while one person is there doing absolutely everything themselves, another has built systems that allow them to spend more time with their couples and less time behind a laptop. And over a year, those small differences become big ones. And that's not because AI is going to make you more talented than somebody else. It's just going to give you more time to be the best version of yourself. And if there's something I'd love for you to take away from today's episode, it is this. Do not be frightened of AI. Don't blindly follow it either. Learn it, question it, challenge it, but use it to remove those repetitive jobs that stop you doing the work that only you can do. Because your experience, your ability to make somebody feel something, those things have never been more valuable than they are today. And before we finish today's episode, I just wanted to tell you why I ended up building WebPro Studio, because after everything we've spoken about today, it probably makes a lot more sense. Over the last sort of 10 years, I've coached hundreds of wedding businesses, and something became really obvious to me. It wasn't that people didn't know what to do. Most of the time they did, right? They knew they needed to be posting on social media. They knew they should be following up with inquiries that had gone quiet. They knew they should probably be writing blogs, improving their SEO, nurturing new inquiries, looking at their numbers, and actually working on their business rather than constantly working in it. The problem wasn't knowledge, it was time. And every single week I would hear variations of the same thing. Katie, I know what I should be doing, I just haven't got around to it. Or, I've got 3 inquiries I need to reply to and I need to follow up with, but I just don't know what to say. And that's when I sat down to solve this and looked at what businesses needed. And wedding industry does not need another generic AI chatbot, right? It needed an operating system. And I want to make this really clear because it is not a CRM and it's very different to a CRM. Something built specifically for wedding businesses, something that actually understood how our industry work. Because your business is not the same as a plumber or an accountant or an e-commerce brand. You sell one of the most emotional, biggest purchases somebody will ever make. Your sales journey is different, your clients are different, your marketing is different. So why then should you be using a generic AI that has been trained to answer everybody? That is why I built WebPro Studio. And at the heart of it is something I call your business brain. Before Studio starts to help you, it gets to know your business. So it looks at your services, your ideal clients, your tone of voice, your experience, your website, your pricing, your location, your goals, the way you like to communicate, the things that make you different and unique. So instead of coming to Studio and starting from scratch every single time you ask it something, it's already working from the context of understanding and knowing your business. It remembers just like another team member would. And from there, I built tools around the things that wedding businesses actually do every single day. Need to reply to a new inquiry? Studio will help you create a thoughtful inquiry reply that sounds just like you. Got somebody who's gone quiet? There's a follow-up tool designed to reopen conversations without sounding awkward or pushy. Somebody says, I need to go away and think about it. That's great. We've built responses for that too. Need a month's worth of content? Studio can create strategic content ideas, captions. It's going to be able to create blogs really soon. And it creates marketings based around your business and your ideal couples. Want to improve your SEO? We're going to be bringing in keyword tools, blog planning tools, and website content support. Need nurture? Emails for people that aren't quite ready to book yet? Studio has got that inside there too. And also privacy policies, website terms, client documents, it is all there. If you want to understand your numbers better, profit calculators, pricing tools, and quarterly business reviews are going to be coming inside Studio. And these are things that are not going to just tell you your figures. They're actually going to help you understand what they mean and where you should focus your time next. And the thing I'm probably proudest of is that it doesn't stand still. AI is evolving unbelievably quickly. Every few weeks, there's another model, another update, another launch for you to be aware of, another headline telling you, this is the newest, bestest platform out there. And I don't think that you need to or should have to spend your energy trying to keep up with all of that. That is my job. Me and my team will test the latest AI models. We work out which ones are best for different tasks. We improve the prompts. We build it out with strategy. We improve the tools. We build new features and we update everything behind the scenes for you. So your business just gets smarter over time without you having to constantly learn a new piece of software. And we are only just getting started. I've got exciting features already being built around SEO, visibility, smarter marketing, business reporting, and even more automation. Because my vision for this was never to just build an AI tool. It's to build the operating system that helps wedding businesses run more efficiently and more effectively as well. Be able to market more consistently, sell more confidently, and ultimately give you that time back to enjoy the business that you have worked so hard to create. If today's episode has stopped and made you think, you know that you need to embrace AI, but you don't know where to start, this is exactly why Studio exists. Not to replace you, to support you, and honestly to give you hours and hours back every single week to help you stay consistent, to help you implement strategies that you already know that you should be doing, because the future is going to belong to wedding businesses that combine those human relationships with brilliant technology. If you would like to have a look around, we've still got a few spaces available at our founding rate, available at wedprostudio.com. Come and see what all the fuss is about. All right, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you have loved it, if you could take 30 seconds to just follow the WordPro podcast wherever you are listening, it really does help us reach more wedding businesses. And if you know somebody who's still trying to figure out this whole AI thing, please send this episode their way. I think it'll give them a very different perspective. Until next week, take care, have an amazing week in your business, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye, guys.